Hey YouTube, it's Jaden Storm coming at you, and the format has completely changed, so it's time for me to do a new Cardfight Vanguard top 5 decks right now. And I'm going to have 3 things before I start telling you what those top 5 are. The first is I'm going to tell you the two decks or clans that have no business in this discussion, and then I have a second and a first alternate. This was kind of a hard list to make, but it is definitely, in my opinion, probably the best in my opinion. You're free to leave your top 5 in the comment section below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. So let's just jump right into this, guys. I think first off, the first deck that has no business in this discussion is Jewel Knights. Guys, I'm sorry. I have tried Jewel Knights. I've tried playing the deck. That 10k body on Sloan. Even after you break ride and get 3 critical, chances are your opponent is going to nullify that attack. Or guard for no pass. Guys, that 10k body, it literally is too easy to attack. There are grade 1s now that can just attack that by themselves. So, Jewel Knights, in my opinion, do not have any business in this discussion. And the second is Genesis. I like Genesis deck, but the problem is the Genesis deck, in my opinion, will not be in the top 5 until we see Minerva. When Minerva comes out, guys, then Genesis will be at full power. Minerva is the card that makes Genesis awesome. Just wow, I can't wait for that card. But the two things that have no business in this discussion is Jewel Knights and Genesis. I'm sorry, neither or Royal Paladin at the moment, unless you want to include Majesty. But I think Majesty could at least have a shot in the meta. But when you talk about Jewel Knights as an archetype, because I don't count Jewel Knights as Royal Paladins, because I'm a classic Royal Paladin player. I don't know why Jewel Knights just, in my opinion, they just don't feel the same. I gave up on the clan very, very quickly. But you know, you're free to have an opinion. Genesis, when Minerva comes out, they'll be in my top 5, guarantee it. My second alternate is Amon Reverse. And, you know, Amon Reverse, Dark Irregulars, finally has a little consistency. And by that, I mean a consistent boss monster that can swing for at least 20 and a crit at no cost. That's the consistent part of it. That's it. Guys, this Dark Irregulars is a lot like playing Russian roulette. You never know what you're going to get. When you soul charge, you might soul charge all triggers, and you might soul charge your perfects, you might soul charge the cards that you need. You literally are playing Russian roulette, and I don't think Dark Irregulars ever will be in the top 5, and that's my opinion, because there's no consistent to it. I mean, because you never know what you're going to soul charge. Because this deck, it just is it's sporadic. You never know what you're going to soul charge, and that alone is a huge gap in it. Now, if I was going to play if I had to play a Dark Irregular deck in a major competitive tournament, I would probably play Amon Reverse with 12 crits, because I don't understand people who put 6 draw triggers in an Amon deck. It doesn't make sense. So, second alternate is Amon Reverse. The first alternate, and this one hurts a little bit, is Liberators. And that is, I love Liberators. I love Gold Paladins. This really should be the top 6 decks, but if I had my 5 and I had to kick one out, the first alternate is Liberators. This is the one deck that you could substitute in with any of my 5. And Liberators, either you're going to play an Alfred with Break Ride, or you're going to play Alfred and Garmor in the same deck. Either one of these, in my opinion, is the 6th place deck, or my first alternate. These decks are very, very good. They're still very good decks. So if you're playing it, and don't stop playing the deck at all, it's still a very good deck. I've been playtesting my Alfred Garmor deck, and I love it a lot. But do not, guys, think by any stretch that Liberators are done. Liberators are only getting started, and Gold Paladin is just getting started. 5th place, and the first time I've ever mentioned this clan in the top 5, Lukier Reverse. That's right, I said Pale Moon, Lukier Reverse. And keep in mind, if you're a Pale Moon player, well, why isn't this higher? Well, Top 5 decks in Vanguard is pretty good, considering every deck has the potential to be good. Keep that in mind. It's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Where there is a clear-cut top 5. I have a lot of new respect for this deck, and I owe a lot of that to my good friends Ryan and my good friend Sam. These two players have... I mean, I knew Lukia was going to be good, and I had respect for Pale Moon. I've played Pale Moon. I love Pale Moon. I'm building Pale Moon. But they have shown me that this deck actually can be pretty terrifying. I mean, I knew it was going to be good, but, I mean, really good. I mean, I was like, wow. This deck stacks up pretty well against the meta. If it runs into Link Joker, it can hang. It can hang with about anything. It replaces a rear guard every turn, and it gains 5 when it's called out. I mean, it's a legitimate threat, guys. The downside to playing this deck is if you do want to play it as a cross-raid deck, you have to pick up Silverthorn Dragon Tamer Lukies, and those are like $35-40 a smack. But this deck is amazing, and it's always a challenge when I play either of my friend Sam. I don't think I've played my friend Ryan's Lugia Reverse deck, but I'm sure when he comes down next, I will have a matchup with that, Ryan, so make sure you have that deck ready for me, because I want to crack at it. Alright, guys, now let's go to number 4, and that is Dauntless the End. This deck, guys, is still in the top 5. Dauntless the End is an amazing couple, guys. These two cards go together so well. I love... I've always loved the End, and the fact that they have a Breaker Eye that literally just pampers the End is amazing, beyond amazing. It's a free, the End's guaranteed 2 attacks, guys. That is scary. This deck is still amazing, even against Link Joker and other things out there. It is still one of the top decks. From what I've seen, it competes against the meta pretty well. So, it's still a good option, and with Dauntless being as expensive as he is, I think that's proof of the pudding, that he is still a threat. Just throwing that out there. Third place, Eradicators. Eradicators are still also in the top 5, in my opinion, because they have access to one of the best boss monsters as well. It is a Vanguard that can restand itself, and that is Eradicator Dragonic Descendant. As I've said many, many times, guys, any Vanguard that can restand itself or carry an extra crit is already so far ahead of the game, and this thing does both. He is a ultimate threat. If you guard me, I stand up with a crit. This deck is still good. I do not think a Vowing Sword Eradicator reverse deck is in the top 5. You could tie it with either... You could put it as an alternate. But the only thing I do not like about the Vowing Sword deck is when eventually his effect is just... You get maybe 1-2 shots with him in order to end the game, and after that, you're kind of screwed. If you're going to play Eradicators competitively and in a competitive setting, I would still suggest playing Descendant. It is still the better option, in my opinion. So, yeah, third place is Eradicator, Dragonic Descendant. Second place, Link Joker, Nebula Lord Dragon. Nebula Lord Dragon, guys, is the best version of Link Joker that you can be playing right now. He gives you the ability to increase the entire front row of your attack force, which is very, very good. There is no other card out there right now that does that except the Gancelot Break Ride, and that's only if you give the power boost to your front 2 units. But well, I guess there is Platina Ezel, but I'm talking about cards that are played currently. But anyway, well, that card might be played. It's just not played around my locals, or I haven't seen anyone play it in a long time. But Nebula Lord Dragon, it is a hell of a deck, guys, when it's played correctly. It has to be in the hands of the right player. Link Joker, as I've said in a previous video, is a very good clan, but it is also very beatable. But in the hands of the right player, Link Joker is very dangerous. But it is beatable. If you would like further information on my thoughts on Link Joker and people flipping out about it, you can go check out the video called Stop Flipping Out Over Link Joker, or something along that lines. And also, if you would like some tips on how to beat Link Joker, when you go to watch that video, thumbs up. If I get 5 thumbs up on it, I will make a mini-series, or at least a video or two, called How to Beat Link Joker. And my number 1 deck of the format is Revengers, Raging Form Dragon. This card, guys, is amazing. Raging Form Dragon, guys, is literally the best deck in the format that you can play. This guy, he carries so much power, and that's because he's almost, you're gonna get his effect off more times than not once in a game. So when you break ride, you're going to gain a monster with 5,000 extra power, and then you're going to swing somewhere in the upper 20s, and then after that, you're going to restand him and attack again at 21, and then anything else if you want to use the counterblast to make him 24 or whatever. The simple fact that he's able to restand himself without discarding cards from your hand and just sacking 3 rear guards and drawing 2 more cards to add more cards to your hand is amazing. And also in the late game, Raging Form is very, very threatening because your opponent, if they guard against Raging Form, if you pull another Raging Form, you probably have them. Also, guys, Raging Form is a very, very it's a very powerful deck, but if you need to know how to play against it as well, guys. My tip to you guys, if you are at 4 damage and Raging Form attacks you after break riding, it is better to take the first attack from Raging Form than the second. Here's why. If you perfect guard that first attack, because 9 times out of 10, here's how a Raging Form attack line goes. You're going to attack with a rear guard that contains the unit that does not contain the unit that you Superior called from the deck. So normally, in my opinion, it's going to be Masquerade or Blaster Dark. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be Masquerade because you want to go for the final push. You call Masquerade, he's 14, say you have a 7k booster, so he's 17 plus 7, he's 24 now. So I'm going to attack with this column. It's usually about 16, 17, somewhere in there. So you're going to attack with this column, and then you're going to attack with your Raging Form. He's going to be somewhere in the upper 20s to 30s. Then you're going to wait for your opponent to say guard or no guard. In this situation, guys, here's what's going to happen if you perfect guard the attack and you have very few cards in your hand and you don't have a lot of options and you are at 4 damage. If they rip a critical, you lose, period. Second, if you do perfect guard that as well and they do rip another Raging Form, you have no chance of surviving. Because now this 24k column is now a 29k column with a crit stacked on top of it. You would be better off, in the long run, after this attack and the attack with Raging Form, if you're at 4 damage, you are better taking that attack and hoping they don't crit you than as opposed to perfect guarding the first attack. Because unless you know for a fact your opponent has a Raging Form in their hand, you know, sometimes you're literally going to have to take the risk. It was kind of like the end back in the day. There are times where you literally just had to let the end hit you and hope and pray that your opponent did not have that extra copy in their hand. And sometimes they're going to, and you took the risk, and it just, well, not this time, I guess. But the best deck of the format by far is Revengers, Raging Form Dragon. So let's go back over my list one more time. The two decks that are not even in this discussion, Jewel Knights or the Genesis decks. The second alternate, Amon Reverse. The first alternate would be Liberators, or Alfred or Garmor deck, either one. Fifth, Lukier Reverse. Fourth, Dauntless the End. Third, Eradicators, Dragonic Descendant. Second, Nebula Lord Dragon. And first, Raging Form Dragon. So there you go, guys. Those are, in my opinion, the top 5 decks of the format, and their 2 alternates, and the cards that really have no business being there. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it was informative. In the comment section below, feel free to tell me what you think about my opinion, and feel free to leave your own. I like to hear other people's opinions as well. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe, thumbs up, and I'll see you later.